When you talk about the greatest slashers from the 80s, you hear all about the usual suspects, and usually in amongst them, somewhere down a list, not at the top, but near there, will be Sleepaway Camp, a movie that is notorious, and it seems to be overshadowed because of one fact, and we'll get to that later on. The basic story is all about Angela. This isn't going to be our main character, kind of, throughout the movie. At the start, you see a terrible accident involving people that we don't know, but from knowing enough of these movies, you can tell that that's going to come into play later on. Angela is just terribly shy. She cannot come out her shell. She struggles in social situations, and she just feels genuinely uncomfortable in her own skin. And although people try to draw something out of her, they don't really get a lot. And they find it kind of infuriating. Some of them do anyway. But also at this camp seems to be someone who is killing off people that are not nice people at all. And that's about all the plot I'm going to give you, because there isn't much more to it, but it's very well done what is done. You know, the story is as basic as it gets, but there are some really interesting facets along the way. One of the best things about this is it is a camp, a summer camp for kids, and in very rare circumstances in horror movies, it has actual kids at the camp, people who are age appropriate for this kind of thing, not folk in their mid-20s pretending to be in their mid-teens. It just looks ridiculously out of place. These people look as if they belong there. Most of the kids are kids, and we have a sort of various group of people. You know, you get people who are just generally nasty, being bitches because that is their nature. You get people who are rather friendly because that is who they are. And you get other people who are easily swayed from one camp to another, depending on situations. And we have Angela, who is basically just trying to blend into the shadows, to stay out of the limelight, just to kind of ease through this camp as easily and painlessly as she possibly can, and escape unscathed by these people who are far more brash and out there and want to cause grief just for the sake of it. It's a really interesting and kind of important part of the movie, you know, and it's captured extremely well. We have somebody who seems to have this kind of social anxiety, crippling shyness. Now, we've possibly all know somebody like this, or have been somebody like this, who is forced into social situations where they're not entirely comfortable, and you just want to take a back step and fade into the shadows. And that is what Angela tries to do a lot of the time. But there is always those people who are unhappy with that, who want to cause grief and mayhem just because they are mean. And that's what happens here. But these people have things coming for them. They have something that's going to be taken from them, usually their life, in a kind of fun manner. Now, the way this movie tackles its subject isn't tongue-in-cheek, but it's kind of straightforward horror. Although you don't really see much, you know, there is implied deaths. It is nothing that is out there overly bloody. Just people are murdered in inventive fashion, but you don't really see much going out of it. So you have this character of Angela, and it's perpetrated with these other characters who all sort of gravitate around about her. There is a boy who she starts to kind of open up to, and they create a connection. We have her cousin that's there that's really friendly. A couple of the camp counsellors are just bitchy. Some of them are really pleasant and try to help this situation. And we get the deaths that are rather interesting. And in all, it's a fairly decent slasher movie. But we do get this focus. You get the focus on the end of it, because there's no way anybody ever guessed the ending to this movie. And I've seen this a couple of times, and it was one of those movies that I didn't appreciate for being as good as it was the first time that I saw it. It does have more to say than your typical slasher. It has more production values, better setup. It has a decent story, an unusual story that's tackled really well, in my opinion. And it's pulled off. But everything is focused on that one moment, and if you've seen the movie, you know the exact moment I'm talking about, that seems to overshadow, that looms large over the movie. If you've never seen it, go and check this thing out. It took me a couple of watches to really appreciate it, for the effort and for the gusto and just going for a straightforward slasher movie, zero tongue-in-cheek, with a rather interesting premise behind it. It's one that I go back to quite often actually, and it's one that I really enjoy. I love the sort of interaction of the kids. I do love the kills because they are inventive, although you don't see much. They're more implied than rather seen. And I do actually love that ending. I think it's really, really fitting and well worth checking out. Sleepaway Camp is a real winner. Check it out if you've never seen it before and you're into your slasher movies. If you have seen it, let me know in the comment box what you thought of the movie, when you discovered it, what did you think of that ending. Try and keep it spoiler free if you possibly can for people that don't know it. And I'll see you next time on Man vs Film.